This next gentleman is a guy that I met, I don't know, about 6, 7 months ago. He lives here in Fort Collins, and he is an attorney and a very interesting gentleman as well. He's got a new book here. He is an attorney, artist, teacher, author, and principal of Houchin and Associates, a copyright, trademark, arts and entertainment business development and branding firm in Fort Collins. And he has written a new book called Fuel the Spark: 5 Guiding Values for Success in Law School and Beyond. And when I asked him if he would contribute a chapter, hang on there, Dan.
Right, sorry. I'm working. I'm all connected.
Just hold your ends. I asked if he would write a chapter for Twitter Power on the legalities of using Twitter, because I don't know about contract and trademark and copyright and all that good stuff. And he did a great job. Chapter 12 is called Play Nice: Legal Considerations. Please welcome to the Tweet-A-Thon, Mr. Kevin Houchin, Esquire.
Good evening. And there was much rejoicing.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm well, thank you.
Excellent. This is new.
That is new.
And
that is new.
It is. It's being published by Made Easy Publishing.
They're great people.
They are awesome people.
Where have I heard that name before?
Yeah. This is actually my publishing house, and Kevin does some work for us. And this book. Talk about this book a little bit. I've taken a look at it. Obviously, I'm not a law student.
Right.
But
This book came about as a result of a coaching relationship that I had for a long time. And when I was ending that coaching relationship and moving on, my coach gave me this wonderful, wonderful gift, which was a list of the things that I was doing when I was doing well. And I had a chance to think about that on the next day driving to a conference that I was speaking at, and I had some time in the hotel, so I just whipped out an essay just to get it out of my brain and be able to focus on what's going on, probably like you do on blog posts every once in a while.
it just kind of
comes out. Yeah, every once in a while it just comes out. And so I
Dan comes out the other end. But,
well, maybe. But we won't
where do you think
there.
I fart came from?
That's right.
Oh!
There you go.
That's right.
So anyway, I wrote up the essay and shared it with some friends, and they said this was nice, and they'd shared it around, and finally somebody said, you really ought to do something with that. And I thought, there's a time in some people's lives, and what in my life when I went to law school, that I was a bit overwhelmed by a lot of stuff, but I was seeing a lot of especially the younger law students that were really, really struggling with trying to keep everything in balance as they were doing those things. And so I thought, let's apply these things to the law school market and see what's up. One of the interesting things that happened is that the book is selling well so far and being given as gifts a lot, and we're hoping that that some of the law schools will start buying it as a gift for incoming students and maybe doing some orientation programs around these things.
The thing I notice about it is this is not a heavy, and I don't mean the weight of it, although it is a nice, a small book.
Right.
This is like a get to the point type of book.
Well, I think in law school and in just life and everybody, we're all bombarded with so much stuff that's going on around us that we don't have a lot of time and energy for a lot of fluff. And so this book gets to the point very fast, gives some very practical tips that people can keep in mind. It's a quick read, and that's hopefully will make it accomplish its goal of getting read.
So you've got 5 principles in here.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and kind of give us a bird's eye view.
A bird's eye view. 5 principles. The first one is a principle called accept, and it comes from a quote that was in one of my favorite textbooks as an undergraduate. I have a graphic design, fine art major, but one of the best classes I took back at Iowa State was a Design Studies 101 class, and there was a book called The Universal Traveler, a soft systems guide for design stuff, and it was just this campy little book that everybody should own. But one of the quotes in it was that the most profound choice we make in life is either to accept things the way they are or to accept our personal responsibility to change them. Mm-hmm. And when you think about that, I mean, people that are online right now are either accepting to stay online with us and be part of this conversation, or they can accept their personal responsibility to change it and go do something else.
I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Is it any coincidence that the first stage of succeeding in law school acceptance is the same as the last stage of death?
Maybe. So, yeah, it's definitely a change in somebody's life. So
My father's a lawyer for 40-something years and forbid all of our sons to be lawyers. Absolutely forbid them to be lawyers.
well, and that's
Didn't want them to have the life.
there's a change going on in the legal community, and I think you can see it on Twitter with a bunch of the lawyers there. There's a site called Lex Tweet, LEXTWEET, and Lex Tweet is a site that's basically aggregating a lot of the lawyers that are on Twitter. And I think you'll find that a lot of the lawyers on Twitter really want to change that perception, that they don't want their kids in the profession because they don't like the life. Alexis Neely, who's going to be on later, I believe,
Yes.
is one of the leading lawyer Twitterers. And her whole thing is really helping people find balance and find a way to make law a great career, as well as something where you don't lose your life to it.
Right.
And that's the way my approach is, and that's the way a lot of the people on LexTweet are really approaching this. And we're all on Twitter to really help give people some good advice, not free legal advice necessarily, but some quick tips and tricks to hopefully keep themselves out of trouble on certain things. And we're advising each other on where the resources are for keeping up with a very, very fast-paced legal environment.
Okay, so one is accept.
One is accept.
Two.
Show up.
That always helps. In the courtroom?
It helps in a courtroom. It helps in a classroom. It helps in the corporate world.
It helps on the Tweet-A-Thon. Here you are.
It helps in the Tweet-A-Thon. Show up. When you're asked to show up, show up. And you'd be surprised at how many people don't show up and then complain that they don't get the leads, they don't get the jobs, they don't get the grades, they don't get whatever. And most of the time it's honestly out of personal laziness. So show up is the second one.
Okay, so we got accept, we've got show up. Number three.
Number three. You tell me what number three is.
Pay 100% attention.
That's hard to do.
I'm listening.
It's hard to do.
You have my attention.
It's hard to pay attention
Undivided.
sometimes. Well, you know how your kids are sometimes.
I'm listening.
You would rather. You're disconcerting.
Oh.
You're
Am I
spooking
frightening
me,
you?
Joe.
Oh,
You're
okay.
freaking me out.
He's actually half asleep, too.
So, no, but paying 100% attention is really hard to do. Especially hard to do for anything more than 15 or 20 minutes at a time.
Right.
And the key with this is to really kind of shut off of our monkey brain that's always chattering at us from the side, maybe turning off Twitter for 15 or 20 minutes at a time while you're doing things. One of the...
Heretic.
Yes, I am. One of the things that my coach made me do was to set my email send and receive timer to 30 minutes instead of 10. That about killed me for the longest time. And now I've got it back to 20. But it's still something where to be able to focus on things, you have to be able to pay attention to things and really bring your mind to where you are for a while. And that's hard to do, especially in our world where
That's
everything's
actually a
happening
really
so
good
fast.
tip, and I don't even think about that because I get so distracted by email coming in all the time.
Yeah.
But setting it for 30 minutes just makes perfect sense.
Yeah, 30 minutes was hard for me. I couldn't do it for very long, but 20 worked.
Okay, those of you just joining, we're talking with Kevin Houchin, Kevin E. Houchin, Esquire, his new book, Fuel the Spark, 5 Guiding Values for Success in Law School and Beyond. We've got accept, show up, pay 100% attention, and number 4.
Multiple irons in the fire.
Oh, yeah. That's like multiple revenue streams,
Multiple
right?
revenue streams, multiple irons in the fire. I get bored. I get bored really fast, really easily. And so keeping a lot of things going on that I can turn my 100% attention to in the course of a day on a lot of projects, because I personally can't focus on something for more than an hour or two at a time. Mm-hmm. Even when meeting with clients, I set it up so that after about a half hour, I get up and we get a refill the coffee, something, look out the window to refocus and be able to bring it back in to do
So when you bill
another.
someone for 3 hours, they can look back and say, hey, look, I know you only focused on that for an hour.
Normally, when I bill somebody for 3 hours, it took me about 4 hours to do the work. So there's always a bargain there.
Yeah.
It looks like we're having some Ustream issues. Are you guys in correspondence with Ustream?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, are they?
It looks like they're receiving things okay from us. It's just where it goes from there.
Bogged down.
Okay.
But we're on their premium servers, and they're doing everything they can.
It is what it is.
It is what it
All
is.
right. And number 5, accept, show up, pay 100% attention, many irons in the fire, and
Stewardship. being raised in the church, my dad was an elder, and every year we would have the stewardship talk, which was, how are you going to help the church? How are you going to do this? And it came down to time, talent, and treasure. Where are you going to give your time? Where are you going to give of your talents? And how are you going to share your treasure? And that really is something that can happen in school. It can happen in your business. It's happening right now where you're giving all three of those things. And I think everybody can have a quick and easy chance to give a little bit of the treasure. We're obviously giving some time here. I think on your Twitter streams, what works for us in business in terms of sharing actual value is doing exactly that. It's giving back of both your time and your talent, and then making sure that there's a tangible area of where you're actually giving back a little bit of the money that comes to you is also a fine way to do things. And if you can combine those 5 things, I guarantee you're going to be successful.
Excellent. I'm tweeting right now, and congratulations on your book. The thing that I'm tweeting right now is the next question I'm going to ask you, and let me get this tweet out. Legal tips for using Twitter, and some of these things that you talked about in Twitter Power. I want to put that out there so that people who are watching can learn a little bit. Send that tweet. There it is.
All right.
About some of the things that we discussed in here. So just go ahead and give us a few of the main things we should know.
Well, the title of the chapter is Play Nice, and that's really the theme of going on this. If you're doing something out there on Twitter that you would be upset if somebody did to you, you probably ought to back off on that. But that's a pretty easy thing to know in your heart, but a little bit harder sometimes to understand from a legal point of view. And what we talk about in the book, in the chapters there, are really a little bit of what we call defamation, which is slander and libel, of where, if you accuse somebody of doing something that really isn't true, you could get yourself in trouble in 140 characters very quickly. Contracts, making an offer, accepting an offer, you could be in a contract very, very quickly that you may not have intended to be in, really, on a Twitter stream. Just because it's happening on Twitter doesn't mean that it isn't legal. Mm-hmm. And it's actually very evidentiary to pull those things up and say, here's the proof, you said it, boom. Copyright. Now, it's a little bit more difficult to get yourself in copyright trouble directly on Twitter because short phrases aren't copyrightable and some of those kind of things. But if you were to take, say a very popular poem or a set of song lyrics and tweet them in their entirety in a stream of tweets, then you could probably get there. It's a little bit more difficult. Trademark, where you are leveraging somebody else's brand to do your own work, that can get you in trouble pretty quickly. All the people that are grabbing, faux brands and faux names and starting to tweet and follow and do those kind of things are really trying to set themselves up for a trademark issue, mm-hmm. and that can get people in trouble pretty quickly too. So, for the most part, just be mindful of what you're saying. Don't assume that since it's on the internet that it isn't a legal situation, because pretty much it's a very, very fast-moving legal situation, and the proof is right there.
And well, yeah, you can't. You used to be able to delete tweets. I don't know if you can anymore. I think once it's out there,
sometimes you can delete them, but they still show up in the search.
Right.
Just kind of weird.
I think it just deletes it from your stream, but
right.
It still is a permanent record.
Yeah. So pretty much everything you put out there can be used against you in a court of law. So, keep that in mind.
Not to be afraid, right? But tweet cautiously.
Well, at least be conscious of what you're putting out there, because you could end up having to explain that to somebody that is pretty unhappy with you. So it's there, it's moving pretty quickly. A lot of the stuff that we're doing on the Twitter stuff, leads us back to websites, and when you're linking back to a website issue, that's where you may be getting into more of the copyright issues and those kind of things. But it's all fun until somebody pokes an eye out, I suppose.
It's all fun and games until the flying monkeys attack.
Well, the flying monkeys attacking is just kind of crazy.
It's its own thing. Kevin Houchin, Fuel the Spark is the book. Let's thanks for joining us. And